What a stark contrast between Game 1 and Game 2. Dominating performance out of Team Solomid in Game 1. Cloud9 striking back, extending it to a third game for us. So we get to see one more to be the decider, but another quick, decisive victory by one of our teams.
And really great adjustments by Cloud9. I mean, we talked about how TSM jumps out of the gates great in these best-of-3 series, but Cloud9 is bouncing back with some counterattacks as well. Like, even when they played against Immortals, Cloud9 got steamrolled in Game 1, they're able to bounce back in Game 2. Like, these guys have been really solid about making adjustments, and that goes to Reaper as well as just the mentality of these guys on Cloud9 not to tilt.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in that top lane matchup, showing the trundle first, Irelia picked into it, so Hauntzer opting into that matchup, but Impact really having total control over it. You know, of course, there was jungle pressure from both sides in that matchup, but almost every time Impact coming out on top.
I definitely think so. I do think there was a little bit of over-aggression by both teams' junglers, but Impact is someone who just played smart throughout the majority of the early to mid-game.
Yeah.
Then he got a little bit aggressive. Just, it shows the early pick of Trundle, especially on this patch, and especially with the QSS changes where you can no longer QSS the ultimate off. Like, this guy is such a dominating laner, and you could see Cloud9 was really playing to give him an advantage. Like, this is with Infernal Drake up, what is valued most highly by most teams, even though I feel like all the dragons are good. So Cloud9 very willing to be like, okay, we're going to make sure that Impact is ahead here. Giving up the Drake, and this was super impactful because then not only did they get the kill, they were able to transition into a fight like right after that.
Right, yeah, they pick up that turret as well. We did have some questions about whether or not they'd be able to pick up the Rift Herald. Ended up not to be in that moment, but definitely putting a lot of focus into Impact. So even though he himself has been vocal about maybe not being the top performing member on the team, the team still very much has faith in him and his ability to carry and pressure around the map. I do want to now push us to 11 minutes into the game, not too much further down the line. Now we're in the bot lane. This is going to be a 2-for-0 for Cloud9 and what was a gank set up by TSM.
And this is one of the things that really broke the game open. And we're talking about how TSM makes really aggressive plays, but it hasn't backfired yet, or they take high-risk plays. Like, technically, they have a top laner who is behind, and they try and make a super aggressive play. The play by Smoothie was awesome to exhaust the one guy that didn't get caught in the Bard ult, and then just an awesome ultimate by Trundle there to finish off the kill on Svenskeren. And that just snowballs with Cloud9. Like, Bjergsen is thinking, hey, maybe I should come down here, maybe I should sneak in. Maybe Meteos isn't here yet, but both Meteos and Jensen are waiting for him. Sneaky gets actually his first kill of the game by sniping over the wall. And that was just so much invested by TSM, and all the reward was reaped by Cloud9. So that really turned the tides of the game. More in, not turned the tides, they're already winning. It just blew it wide open.
Yeah, and where, you know, perhaps Bunny, if we were to be really critical of him in Game 1, having missed some things mechanically, missing stuns coming out of ultimates and the like, Smoothie jumps right in, and he is hitting all those plays mechanically. So, you know, as we try and decipher and figure out, like, when and why the team is swapping these guys in and out, Smoothie's having a good day today. He showed it on that Bard, and as a duo, they definitely dominated, the two of them.
It's a mind game. I mean, Sneaky has been able to play with so many different supports, and when they both play Bard at a high level, like, why not? Some slightly different guys. You have someone lose a game, bring in a new guy, fresh mind. Like, maybe they still think Bunny Fufu's Bard is better, but the situation called for it. And the Bard Jhin was super effective.
Well, and if you want to see more Jhin, we have one more replay for that. A quadra kill by Sneaky around the Baron pit. At this point, TSM rather far behind and having to make a desperate play.
Right, and the critical thing here is they had killed Svenskeren's Nidalee by getting a pick from Meteos, and then the fight itself was, again, a pretty solid Bard ultimate to stop any extra DPS from Bjergsen. And also, they get a really good CC on a Doublelift to just kind of easily chain them down here. And the damage from Cloud9 is so high. They have the frontline zoning from the Trundle and basically just the Azir soldiers that have to keep people at bay, which gives time for Sneaky to really just pick his shots, and he played a great Jhin game.
And that he did. Now, I want to move to the contrast between games 1 and 2. From the side of TSM, we talk about how out of the gate this team is in almost all of their game 1s, but this was a pretty significant step down between games 1 and 2. What happened?
Exactly. I mean, we can see on the screen the difference between, like, their game 1s and their game 2s. I'm not sure if that's exactly 5 out of 5 first Dragons. I want to take a look at the gold leads as well in those games. But specifically, we see it once again. Maybe TSM would love the best-of-1 format. They'd be super undefeated in that one, whereas now they've actually dropped a few games. Even so, like, as you mentioned, they've been totally crushing people early on in game 1 with a 4,500 gold lead at 20 minutes. Whereas in game 2, like, they're barely averaging advantages, even though they're an undefeated team.
Yeah, 1,000 at 10 minutes is also insane. I mean, those are both insane numbers to have in game 1, and then completely tempered in game 2. Essentially even at 10. very minimally ahead at 20. No one would ever necessarily be super upset that they're down 800 gold at 20 minutes in a competitive match. So it is very strange, the stark contrast rather between game 1 and 2 out of TSM. And I guess then the question extends, why is that, right? Is it a we just put in so much prep for game 1, we're not necessarily thinking about game 2, and we're not reacting properly?
Yeah, it's a good question to see if this is just statistical noise or if it's a long-term trend, but I definitely think their game 1 prep is awesome. But when you totally demolish a team, you don't have many adjustments to make.
That's very true.
So it's on the other team to kind of make some adjustments, and they're bouncing back, not even to a winning record. Like, TSM is still good in game 2s, but it just kind of goes to show that teams are able to adjust. TSM's just really good at their pregame prep.
Yeah, to that end, they had the same exact composition this time, except for Viktor instead of Zilean. So they really didn't make too many adjustments, even with C9 saying, we're going to go with almost an entirely new team composition as well as a new player. So not a ton of adjustments out of TSM. Speaking of that new player, Smoothie, our player of the game, 1, 2, and 12 on that Bard, and it really came down to his execution, being able to start fights, turn fights, and the 2v2 that he had with Sneaky.
Even some really aggressive flashes to get stuns against the wall. Like, you sub this guy in, he plays the same champion Bunny Fufu does, but he turned around all the aggression from TSM and was then the initiator for them. So, like, I think MVP could have gone to a lot of different players on Cloud9, or at least player of the game, but Smoothie, I think, was the biggest contributor.
All right, and stay with me here. I got a twist to throw at you.
Okay.
Bunny Fufu is coming back in. Did I just blow your mind? No, probably not.
They do it.
They do it anyway.
It's literally just every game. Maybe they flip a coin. Like, I'm not sure, because Smoothie played spectacularly in that game. You'd think they'd want to keep the momentum going, but maybe it's one of those things like, we don't want to let him adjust. Let's just throw in Bunny Fufu again.
Right. I mean, to me, it speaks to the fact that this team really is about, we don't need the results right now. Yes, the wins are good, but we don't need the results right now. We're more about cultivating what is going to be a really strong 6-man roster so that we can utilize it further down split, and or we're building up a base of games to then make the decision later. But it would be unfair to let Bunny play 75% of the games and Smoothie play 25 and then make a judgment about who fits better into the team.
Here's one interesting thought about a support player who sometimes is one of the more primary shot callers on a team. You see a lot watching the game from the spectator client that you're never going to get while you're in the game. So maybe their advantage, if they're switching them back and forth every game, is literally one guy is just sitting with Reaper. Reaper's telling him all the things they should be doing, all the things to be touching for. Then he gets to go in the game right next and activate that plan.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Decipher what it is that TSM's trying to do, what they're missing on that day. We'll put the other guy in, let him take advantage of all that. We'll see. This is all wild speculation, by the way.
It's really cool that we have a team that's actually doing game-by-game substitutions, seemingly not tied to the results that much, at least lately.
All right, well, there you have it. 1-1 in the series. We're all tied up, so stick around because Game 3 between TSM and Cloud9 is up right after the break. You're watching the North American LCS.